Welcome to Scrum Tips. This episode of Scrum Tips is brought to you by Sonic Agile. Sonic Agile offers online Scrum project management. To learn more, visit www.sonicagile.com. The topic of today's episode is what is the ideal size of a development team? According to Scrum, how many people should you have on your development team? Let me throw the question at you, Ruth. What is the ideal size of a development team?
The ideal size of a development team is 7 people, plus or minus 2.
But what if you're working on something really, really big, a huge project? Surely you need more people in that case.
Well, if you're working on a really large project and you're going to have, let's say, 100 developers, then you handle that situation by using something called a Scrum of Scrums. We'll talk about that in a minute. But a Scrum team should be kept small. 7 people plus or minus 2, so we're really talking about 9 people on the upper end.
But why? I want to know why. Why that number in particular?
Well, first of all, there are a lot of Scrum masters that say that they've used Scrum with larger teams and had good results. Of course, there are Scrum Masters that have used Scrum with smaller teams, let's say 3 people, and had good results. But you want to have enough people on your team so that you can have people interacting with each other, but you want to limit the size of the team because otherwise just scheduling, having meetings, starts taking too much time. For example, the daily Scrum should be limited to only 15 minutes. So that's why we limited it maybe 9 people. So I mentioned that if you have a very large project and you're working with a lot of developers, you would start using something called Scrum of Scrums.
So say more about what that is. What is a Scrum of Scrums?
Well, let's say that you have a lot of people working and you've divided up the work. You might divide up the work in some logical sort of way. You can have different Scrum teams working on different components, for example. Well, then the developers on those Scrum teams, they meet, they do their work, they have their daily Scrum, and then you can choose a delegate from each of those Scrum teams to attend a second meeting called a daily Scrum. It's usually held after the first daily Scrum. This would be the Scrum of Scrums meeting, I'm sorry. And each team then would report out to the other teams, and all the teams would coordinate their work.
So do they answer the same three questions at the Scrum of Scrums?
Yes, almost. The 3 questions that are answered at the Scrum of Scrums are, what has my team been doing since the last Scrum of Scrums? And what is my team planning to do between now and the next Scrum of Scrums? And is there any thing blocking the team from getting things done? Scrum of Scrums is not a concept that is limited to only coordinating development teams. It can be used throughout an organization that is adopting Scrum.
So how about teams that aren't developers? Can they participate in Scrum of Scrums?
Yes. Non-developers can have daily Scrums too, by the way, but the Scrum of Scrums can be used to coordinate the efforts of a variety of teams, such as development and marketing, or anytime 2 groups in an organization, 2 or more groups in an organization need to coordinate their efforts.
Okay, so the conclusion is
that the ideal size of a developer team is 7.
No.
Is 9 people.
9 people.
Wait,
no, it's not. You got it all wrong.
7 people plus or minus 2. I got that right, actually, the first time. 7 people plus or minus 2.
7 people. Got it.
Yes.